CBS News is doubling down on attacking the Trump administration, even as the network faces existential threats from an FCC investigation, as well as a $20 billion lawsuit from the president himself. Today, we'll tell you why the legacy media is freaking out, and the secret is, it's all about DEI.
Legacy media is dead.
And he wants it dead. He wants other media.
But it is kind of, sort of, hobbling.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we continue to peel back the onion of reality to expose the truth that lies inside. Folks, as we get ready to do so today, consider clicking the like button, and we are going to get started. Now, you may have heard that CBS News pulled a real stunt with that Kamala Harris interview that Trump alleges now was election interference, and the FCC is investigating and all of that. But what if I told you that this has been going on for a very long time? I want to show you now what 60 Minutes with Lesley Stahl did way back in 2020, and you tell me if you think that this is a network with a pattern and a history of misleading the electorate. We'll play part of it. Can't play all of it for reasons of copyright, even though I think it is absolutely within the purview of just playing it for the news. But here's the clip. We'll play it, and then we'll get to the latest when it comes to what CBS is doing.
You would interview Joe Biden like you interview me. It would be so good. You know what?
You like this, I thought. I
don't mind it. I don't mind it. But when I watch him walk out of a store, he's in the midst of a scandal. His family is corrupt. Okay, he's corrupt. He's a corrupt politician. And he's walking with a...
Now, if you're wondering what happened there, the original, he goes into what he alleges to be corruption. We're not going to weigh in on the politics of it or the veracity of it. I think you all have made up your minds on that, and the election happened, right? But I just want you to see what they take out for the purposes of making the narrative they wish to have.
Ice cream. And the question the media asks him, what kind of ice cream, what flavor ice cream do you have? And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking, of course he is,
No,
Leslie.
come on.
Of course he is.
You
See
know, we
that?
had the Senate
So
committee
you're like
Republicans.
big tech. You're protecting him. And everyone is, except for
Yeah, but you're taking something that was investigated
Leslie,
by a
let me ask
Republican
you.
committee.
You think it's
Notice how much they're taking out to make him look like a doofus?
okay for the mayor of Moscow's wife to give him millions and millions of dollars, $3.5 million, to give his family $3.5. Do you think it's okay for Hunter Biden to say that we're giving the big guy 10% of this massive amount of money they're taking in? Do you think it's okay for all of these horrible things that you've seen where they're getting hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, where China gives them $1.5 billion to manage the family, $1.5 billion?
Are you seeing how the game has been played? Are you seeing why CBS is under significant fire from the FCC? It's not just one election cycle. We'll play a little bit more, and then I got to go to the story.
And then he's supposed to negotiate. Let me tell you, it's the second biggest scandal.
So,
The biggest scandal was when they spied him.
And that's enough. I hope that shows you what CBS has been up to now for years. And it could cost CBS the opportunity to be purchased by Skydance. Or at least it's going to delay it to the point, perhaps, that Skydance walks and someone else comes in. And frankly, that might be what CBS News is wanting. Let's take a look at this article out of the AP coming out earlier in the past week. It says CBS 60 Minutes is unflinching in its White House coverage in the shadow of Trump's $20 billion lawsuit. Now, the AP is going to report on this favorably towards CBS. Of course, the Associated Press may have been receiving some USAID money, don't know, but there have been claims, as well as, people renaming the Associated Press to Associated Propaganda. I'm not going to tell you what to believe about that. I just want to say that there's a clear side being taken here. David Bowder is the author here from March 19th. It says, as CBS corporate leaders ponder settling President Donald Trump's $20 billion lawsuit against the network's 60 Minutes, America's storied news magazine has produced some fast and hard-hitting stories critical of the new administration in every episode since Trump was inaugurated. Now, the question, folks, would be, why? Would you not want to have balanced coverage? Seems to me you would, right? So it's kind of surprising that 60 Minutes, it's not really surprising, but it's kind of surprising, right? We got to play the game that 60 Minutes has just done fast and hard-hitting stories critical of the new administration in nearly every episode, right? Oh, wait, no. In every single episode is what the AP is saying, and they like that, right? Well, I don't. You know, when you come to this channel, I'll give you an example of this. When you come to this channel, we gave you the truth when it comes to the Walt Disney Company because we cover entertainment, and we're covering this today because it has a huge impact on CBS, which is a purveyor and provider of entertainment. So the news division is actually critically endangering the entertainment side of things, so we're covering it. But you know, when Disney, which is often the target of our coverage, does the whole Snow White debacle, for months we said this is going to be a disaster. Then it comes out it's a disaster, and we cover the disaster. At the same time, when we see the Lilo and Stitch trailer, we cover that as well. And guess what? The videos where we cover Lilo and Stitch, they get maybe 1/5, honestly, of the views of Snow White, yet we still cover the Lilo and Stitch story. And why do we do that? Because we want to be fair in our analysis. We want to give you the truth. And if that means we take slightly less viewership in order to cover a positive thing, so be it. We're going to give it to you fairly. Now, the Walt Disney Company has dropped something like half of its value over the past 3 years. So that's a difficult thing for us to cover without being majority negative, because this is a company not succeeding. If you purchased Disney stock 10 years ago, you have the same amount of money today as you did back then, but it's worth less. So when it comes to CBS and any other news organization covering the Trump administration, seems that if you're being fair, that you should have more balanced coverage. AP goes on to say the latest was Sunday when CBS News helped facilitate a performance featuring non-white middle and high school musicians who had won a contest, and with it the right to play with U.S. Marine Corps band. The original concert, however, was canceled because of Trump's executive order ending diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. DEI. And we're going to get to a big story here on this DEI thing because it's a major component to the whole CBS News deal. So what happened here is that this band with high school and middle school, bands, little concert, gets canceled. It's one of the, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's one of the things that gets caught up in the cancellation of DEI. So CBS decides they're going to try to make a mockery of the Trump administration, and they're allowed to do that by getting all of these high schoolers and middle schoolers to come together and make a concert for TV. Correspondent Scott Peely narrated 6 of the show's 7 stories since Trump's inauguration, including Sundays. He examined the administration's policies toward Ukraine and tariffs, looked at changes in the Justice Department, and reported on firings of government watchdogs. Shortly after his piece on the dismantling of USAID, Elon Musk suggested long prison sentences for those working on the show. Do I believe that's true? I don't know, folks. It's AP. It's the legacy media. I don't believe anything they say, basically. Trust, but verify. Not anymore for the legacy media. It is skepticism and verify. All right. So we're going to scroll on down because I need to show you something, okay? So if we get down here, this is what's important. It says, many at CBS News resist a settlement. Now, I just need to point this out. CBS is currently owned by Paramount. Paramount, they own CBS, Viacom, etc. And Paramount is trying to sell this thing to Skydance. That's the whole kit and caboodle, as they say. And by the way, kits and caboodles refers to sort of an antiquated jewelry box, in case you've ever wondered what that phrase comes from. The whole kit and caboodle means all the jewelry inside the caboodle. So they're trying to sell all of this to Skydance. CBS News, this is so funny. CBS News is just a tiny division inside this huge portfolio, this corporate portfolio. And yet CBS News is resisting a settlement that is necessary in order for the sale of Paramount to go to Skydance. CBS News, and they're saying it here in the Associated Press as if it's a glorious thing, that they're attempting to block the whole deal. Many at CBS News resist a settlement, insisting 60 Minutes did nothing wrong. The show's executive producer, Bill Owens, told his staff last month he would not apologize. My precious 60 Minutes is fighting, quite frankly, for our life. Correspondent Leslie Stahl said earlier this month, and accepting a First Amendment award from the Radio Television Digital News Association. I am so proud of 60 Minutes that we are standing up and fighting for what is right, which is, no, we will not donate, AP. which is to say, they are fighting to continue being just as partisan as they were in that clip that I played. I wanted to play that for you so you could see that this is years now of the partisanship. Folks, take a look at this. This is Leslie Stahl and what she just recently had to say when she was not standing up before her colleagues and saying she's so proud. Here's what she really thinks about the legacy media and its attempts at maintaining any sort of viability after at least 10 years of nonstop psyop against Orange Man Bad and failure.
I despair. Seriously, I worry greatly. And I think there are other institutions that have been suffering. And you're right not to blame Donald Trump 100%, obviously, started many years before. But we're at a point where if the president of the United States is going to say legacy media is dead, well, I guess Musk said that. Legacy media is dead.
And he wants it dead. He wants other media.
But it is kind of, sort of hobbling.
I do want to pause here. I just want to say that is an excellent point made by Peggy. It's not that Musk wants the media dead. He wants the legacy media dead. He wants other media. That's correct. He wants more truthful media than CBS 60 News or 60 Minutes, CBS News, etc. He wants truthful media. He wants independent media. He wants verifiable media. That's why the community notes exist. It's a great point, even if she's not exactly tracking towards the truth
right now. And I don't know how it recovers. I'm very dark about it.
So there's what they really think, folks. That's what they actually think about all of this. And here we go. Variety is now diving in. Also on March 19th, there's an effort to make it seem as if everybody is against the Trump administration and trying to save 60 Minutes. Says Strange Bedfellows by Cynthia Littleton. FCC 60 Minutes probe brings advocacy organizations together to sound alarm about First Amendment threat. Oh, there's a threat, eh? In this moment of fierce political division, few issues have the power to unite Americans and institutions from the left, right, and center. One of them appears to be CBS and the pressure it is facing from the FCC over the 60 Minutes interview broadcast last fall with Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, I'm here to tell you, I don't think there's a lot of defense coming from conservatives. I think there are some principled positions that say, this is not going to work, but I don't think there's any love from conservative organizations towards 60 Minutes or towards CBS or CBS News. I think they're vile. I think that people even in the middle look at this organization and say, you all are fully on board with misleading the American public. So what's this whole battle about? Why is it that 60 Minutes and CBS News would try to nuke a deal, not only to settle with the President of the United States, especially since they're essentially caught red-handed? Why is it that they would want to nuke a deal where they're going to be sold to Skydance? What is it that they're after? Why do they want to fight the FCC? Well, out of FandomWire, I think we've got the answer, and it's by Ojos. Just Ojos. Brilliant. And this one came out yesterday. FCC under Donald Trump's government vows to make life hell for Hollywood companies promoting DEI discrimination. Forget box office bombs. Media giants now have a bigger threat to worry about: the FCC's war on diversity. Interesting. It says, if you thought Hollywood drama was confined to red carpets and Oscar snubs, think again. The Federal Communications Commission under Donald Trump's government is bringing the kind of suspense that even Christopher Nolan couldn't script. Ooh, this is grandiose, eh? This time, the target isn't a wayward superhero reboot or an ill-advised sequel. Instead, it's media giants who dare to continue promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, discrimination. Oh. In what can only be described as a regulatory reality show, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr has made it clear that if you want a merger approved, remember who's trying to merge? Skydance purchasing CBS Viacom Paramount. That's the merger. You'd better check your DEI policies at the door, because nothing says public interest quite like eliminating woke nonsense, right? Here's where we get into the juicy bit. Brendan Carr has laid down the law. If you want your media empire to merge and flourish, you better start undoing all that woke nonsense. His message to companies like Paramount Global and Verizon, he told Bloomberg, any businesses that are looking for FCC approval, I would encourage them to get busy ending any sort of their invidious forms of DEI discrimination. That's right, Hollywood, a town famous for systematically excluding diverse voices for decades. is now being accused of reverse discrimination. The irony, says the author, is so thick you could spread it on toast. This new policy means that when the FCC reviews media mergers, they won't just be checking if the deal makes sense financially or if it will lead to media monopolization. Nope. Now they'll also be ensuring that no company is doing anything too ... inclusive. For example, Paramount, which has been trying to finalize an $8 billion deal with Skydance Media, is suddenly finding itself in the middle of a bureaucratic thriller. The FCC is sniffing around not just because of the usual corporate mumbo-jumbo, but because, brace yourself, CBS News edited an interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris. A conservative group cried foul, and now somehow that's relevant to whether or not a media conglomerate can combine forces with a production studio. But let's be honest, this isn't just about mergers, this is about sending a message. And that message is clear. Diversity efforts are no longer welcome in Trump's America. Clearly, the biggest threat to society right now isn't misinformation, climate change, or economic instability. It's people trying to give marginalized communities a fair shot in Hollywood, which is to say, this is one insane article, but it gives us an idea, folks, of what it is that they're terrified of and why they're fighting and willing to risk giant corporations and news divisions and all of that. You feel sorry for them in some ways because it really takes effort at this point to make a network go belly up. And yet the news division is doing its darndest to make that happen. And nobody seems to really, on the conservative side, want to do this, right? They just want them to report the news fairly and be less partisan. And frankly, stop lying and editing in deceptive ways. CBS doesn't seem interested in changing that, although they would disagree with my assessment. Turns out that it seems, according to this article, that all of this is related to DEI. For Hollywood and for these news organizations, they have implemented these various quota systems, and those quota systems, in my estimation, appear to significantly reward particular demographics. And of those particular demographics, what would you say? One group of people seem to benefit tremendously. Women, especially college-educated women. And it turns out that college-educated women are far, far more likely to be in alignment with Democrats than any other demographic out there that you can imagine. College-educated women. Now, I'm not here to be negative about college-educated women. I'm just here to say that there's a system now that has been put in place which discriminates against men and in favor of college-educated women, especially in news organizations. And that is supported through DEI because they are one of the classes that gets counted in these quota systems. And we've talked about these quota systems over and over. So partly what may be causing companies and subsets within organizations like CBS News to defend their territory so strongly is an effort to ensure that they continue to get a leg up, continue to get a significant advantage, that being college-educated women who may be flourishing under what has been the woke policies of the far left. And that might be exactly why they're willing to put up an existential battle, even despite the fact that it seems to me that the right doesn't wish to have an existential battle. They want to get to some kind of neutral ground and get out of this thing because it's messy, ugly, and it's a dogfight I'm not sure that the FCC wants to be in long term. But they may be forced to do so because CBS News does not appear ready to back down in any way whatsoever. Are they protected by the First Amendment? Sure. Are the rules and regulations of the FCC probably antiquated? You bet. And yet, here we are. And now, both sides, with them being entrenched and ready to not give up an inch, it could get very ugly. And CBS, Paramount, may be forced to shell out a ton of money as this thing gets worse and worse. And you got to think that Donald Trump doesn't think it's too funny when 60 Minutes continues to do what they do, and that is make it less and less likely that this CBS deal with Skydance goes through. And if it doesn't go through, they have a lawsuit facing them, which is larger than the entire value of Paramount and all of its subsidiaries put together. Folks, that is the story for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for coming our way, and hope now you can walk away understanding what's going on with CBS, CBS News, 60 Minutes, and all of this stuff with the FCC in a way that you did not know before. It is our goal with each video to add value to your day and bring you knowledge you did not have before. Folks, if you enjoy this kind of content, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, we have a special edition of the Pro Show coming out tonight as we look over the final tally for the first weekend of Snow White. We get those final tallies late this afternoon, and we are excited to bring you what we think will be disappointing news for Disney, but it's fascinating to watch. Hope you'll be there, 9 p.m. Eastern. See you then. Until the next time, folks, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. I mean, think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. I mean, she's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... I'm gonna call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.